Hello lovely people! This week I wanted to talk about an amazing festival that I've just come back from, which is Thought Bubble Comic Festival up in Leeds.
Sophie Vlogs!
This time last year, if you've been with me for that time, you might remember I did a very similar video in a Thought Bubble haul. This is going to become an annual thing because it is absolutely my intention to just go to Thought Bubble every single year because it's fantastic. If you are not familiar with Thought Bubble, it's a comic festival in Leeds. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the festival, go to their website or listen to this wonderful little podcast that me and Mark recorded with some fabulous guests talking all about what Thought Bubble is, why it's such an amazing comic festival, why we all love it so much. I will include a link below. Please do go listen. We had some really fantastic people who contributed and they gave quite a wide range of thoughts on it. They all come from different comic backgrounds. On that note, the first thing I wanted to say was my absolute favourite part of this year's festival was meeting all of the fantastic people who did come on our podcast. Chris Welsh, Yasmin Sheikh, Ruairí Coleman, Rob Jones, and all of the Madius Comics crew. You guys are all so lovely. If you're not familiar with their work, I highly recommend you go check them out. You go follow them on all their social media. I will include links below. They are the absolute loveliest people, and it was super duper fabulous to just like meet you people in person. Before I go any further, I would also just like to mention that my cold that was just like simmering at the edges at Thought Bubble has now like come in full force. So I really wanted to do this like soon so that it was topical, but also at the same time I'm mildly losing the ability to function. I'm really sorry, it's a mess. What I thought I'd do with this video is just do a little quick run through of what panels I went to that I found interesting and my thoughts on them, and then I was going to show you all of the graphic novels that I bought. Me and Mark went to 3 panels throughout the day. The first one we went to was the first panel of the day, which is Gosh Comic Presents The Best Thing I've Read All Year. We went to this last year and I find it really interesting each time because it's chaired by the guy who runs the Covent Garden Gosh Comics store, and they have 4 people on it each year, and essentially it does what it says on the tin. They talk about the best comics they've read all year, but also specifically the best things they've read that are at Thought Bubble that you can find and go read yourself. It's always super interesting, and even if I haven't bought all of the things that they mentioned, they're like lodged in my brain banks and I'm gonna like seek them out and find them. So that was super great. We also went to the Ladies Do Comics panel. To read from the back of their business cards, Ladies Do Comics is a unique graphic novel forum with a focus on comic works based on life narrative, the drama of the domestic and the everyday. The 4 women on the panel are all comic creators, and each of them has like an allotted time to talk about their comic or their work or stuff like this. So that was really interesting because you've got slices of quite different things, and then there was like a question and answer bit at the end. That was quite cool. But my favourite panel of the day was the last one we went to, which was Rainbow Age Presents Queer Comics Today, which was super duper interesting. As the name would suggest, it was a discussion about LGBTQ+ comics, where we're at, where we'd like to go, talking about, there was a big focus on what are the positives we can say. There was obviously talk about how can we improve for the future, what are maybe some negatives that we need to be worked on in the industry, but there was this overwhelmingly positive vibe about it, and there was definitely like a conscious effort to talk about the positives, even when you're talking about how, for example, as a comic creator, maybe one of them struggles with this and this in regards to their identity and their labels and blah 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 blah. There was always this return to like, how can we bring this back to something good and something positive about representation in comics. And that was just super interesting. All the people on the panel, unfortunately it was a bit late in the day for me to go and buy their comics because when it finished it was like 10 minutes before closing, but I want to go and find them now and I want to read what they have made because based on all the stuff they were saying, they were all very interesting and coherent, and it was just super fabulous and I loved it. Now we have come to the portion of the video where I'm just going to show you all of the things that I bought. So, Just going back to the lovely, lovely, wonderful people who are on our podcast, between me and Mark, we got stuff from all of them. Yasmin writes a comic called Luna the Vampire, which is about a little vampire called Luna who lives in this like little spaceship that's really big and cool and like poodles through space, and has like a tiny squishy little wormy pet, which is a much cuter than it sounds, and it's all just really, really cute in like a, okay, where I'm leading to is I had already bought issue 1, and so when I was there I bought issue 2. This is the special Valentine's Day edition of the cover, and I thought it was really cute, so I needed it. It's just, like, if you can see from the art style, I just really love her art style. I love the way she does people, and, like all these little faces like this. I so love how fun it is, the way she draws all these things, and I'm just super excited to read issue 2. I'm probably gonna just keep reading the series as it comes out because it's just really fun. It's the type of comic that I like, where it's just light and silly and fun and quirky and interesting. So that was really cool. I also got this print from Rory. Thank you, Rory. That was really lovely of you. I'm really sorry it got ever so slightly bashed on my train journey because there was a lot of kerfuffle on my journey home. But if you like Final Fantasy, maybe go look at Rory's stuff, because this is really, really cool. Just before we move on to the rest of the comics that I bought, I also bought some floral magnets from Emmeline Pigeon, who I bought a print from last year, whose illustration work is just lovely, and she did the Thought Bubble logo this year. This is also Emmeline. She's really great. I really love her stuff. On the Best Thing I've Read All Year panel, one of the panelists talked about Jade Sarson and her new graphic novel, which is called For the Love of God Marie, that's just come out. And then on the Ladies Do Comics panel, Jade was one of the people who talked about their comics. So I got myself the first issue of her other series, which is Cafe Suada, which is about a woman who has a little tea shop, and then a rival coffee shop opens just next door, and there's sort of like rivalry, hijinks, and also like romance ensues. All of the talk about Jade's stuff in general sounded really interesting. Mark bought For the Love of God Marie, and so I bought this. And it's all, I really love the way initially from the cover you have tea stains as part of it. The colours throughout are all very tea stained. I sort of love how she's taken like that as her start point and really made it like a fundamental part of the makeup of the book. It's not just a story about a tea shop, it's a story about a tea shop that's all done in the colours of tea, and all this it's like infused with tea throughout, or whatever. But there was just such talk about her as a creator, so I didn't feel like I could leave without anything from her. So this should be really interesting. I'm really excited to read this. This has actually also been posted as a webcomic, I believe, so I think if you Google her you can actually read this for free, but I wanted to buy it. And also she wrote different tea puns in the front of them, so that was also great. Actually, the first thing that I bought for myself on the day was this comic, Flirting with Death by Rudra World. I just was drawn by the cover because how gorgeous is this cover? Like, the colours are so beautiful. The art throughout, it remains just, I'm trying to just flick through and show you pages. Like, it remains really cool throughout. Lots of different, look at this, the change in colour palette throughout all of this. I'm so excited. It's 6 different stories in one, just to redo the back. 6 slice of death stories about biblical killers, sentient robots, doomed warriors, a giant space fish, and the Lord of Death himself. Stories about life, stories about death, stories not meant for the ears of mere mortals. I'm really intrigued. All of those things are things that I would be interested in. Plus, how beautiful is this? And he was really lovely as well. I think I get a bit nervous sometimes. I go very polite, but he was super lovely. So this is super exciting. I'm sure I will do a review of it once I've read it. Very interested in all of this. Yes. Moving on from that, the next thing I bought was by Big Brown Eyes, which is a collective of 3 sisters, Emily, Caris and Freya Lambert. This probably if you've watched this channel, or even just the last video on this channel, you know that I really like mythology. So how could I walk away from myths and monsters? And it's just a little graphic novel that has, like, you have the myth or the monster, and then there's like a little tiny comic-y bit that is about that myth or monster. And, you know, like, that's just me all over. So how could I not? The next thing I bought, I am not 100% sure if I'm about to say this right. Nala? I don't know if I've done that right. I'm very sorry if I've not. If you do know, please do let me know. I'm going to Google after this. Maybe I should have Googled before this. But here we are. By Rosie Hathaway. It's about the Sami people who live in the Arctic Circle up above, like, Norway and all that sort of thing. That's all I know. I tried not to find out too much about these things before I bought them, because that was the whole point of me buying them. I was really drawn by just the colour spectrum. I really like sort of these watercolory things where it's all these colours that sort of like swirl into each other. I also am trying to read more things about people and cultures that I just don't know about. So I don't really know anything about the Sami people, so this might be quite a nice little start point, and then I can like go from there and learn more, maybe. I just thought it looked really gorgeous. Like, that's the back going onto the front, and just, it looked lovely. Following on from that, I bought a book called Sky by Jean Jones, who is both the writer and the illustrator. Again, don't know a lot about this one, but like, this is very much the type of like arty things that I like. As like a cute little looking at cats. Just as like an example of why I liked it. Like, this is just like a double page spread. I really like, sounds like so like silly, I really love the stars. I really like looking at the stars, and I like identifying constellations, and I wish I knew more about constellations. So I just thought this was probably going to be very sweet. It was only about £3, and I just needed to, so I did. The running theme throughout this is, I just wanted to, so I got it. The final two books that I'm going to talk about I got from the same person, whose name is Heather Wilson, who was wearing the most awesome jacket. To my right, if it's in frame, you may see my gorgeous sparkly bomber jacket that I was wearing, that a lot of people did comment on, and I just went, it's from New Look, every time, because I want people to buy sparkly jackets, and then we can all be like a little sparkly jacket gang. Not like a gang, just like a, let's wear sparkly jackets and have a merry old time. But she was wearing a very cool jacket. We had like a jacket moment. And as it turned out, the stuff on her table was also very cool. So, I got from her artifacts. I may have slightly eavesdropped on her telling someone in front of me what this was about, and then I was like, that sounds really cool. I'm gonna get it for myself. So, it tells the story of different artifacts. Shock horror. So, like, for example, artifact, and then there's like a small story that explains like the history of the artifact, or like a story about the artifact. So it's just like lots of little stories all in one. I just loved the colour palette. Like, I love these fiery oranges with the pink and the contrast of the bubble, and that sort of colour palette like runs throughout the book, and I just, ooh, I feel like the previous two comics that I've just talked about have more cool colour palettes. Like, there's a lot of blues, a lot of purples, there's a lot of all that, and then this is just like a complete contrast to that. Can we all tell that I just had a sneezing fit in between then and now? Very sorry. Finally, the final book that I got is Wellspring by Suzanne Ayupa. I hope that's right, I'm very sorry if it's not. This is a book of poetry. Poet and community worker Suzanne Ayupa sought out 10 holy and healing wells hidden in Wales between spring equinox and summer solstice 2014. Each well holds its own myth, geology, cure, and place in the landscape. Her new poetry series is a crafted response to her journey, both personal and societal, and a wish for the future. That sounds super fabulous. I love poetry. I'm really consciously trying to read more poetry this year. Poetry and non-fiction are things that I've always loved, but I've not necessarily actually really consumed a lot of consistently. So this year it's been something that I've really been working on. So already I was like, ooh, poetry, yes. But it was being sold by Heather because Heather has done some illustrations in it. And I just love poetry. And even in the midst of a comic festival, I couldn't walk away from some lovely poetry. Okay, so we're very nearly done. This has probably been quite long. The final thing is, I also got for my bag of badges, I don't know if you can really see it, just a tiny little Sprout badge. And that was from Izzy Ward, who in my last year's Thought Bubble video, I think I mentioned because I ordered Nino from her, which is like a lovely little comic. I read it. It was super duper cute. She does faces really well. I love her art style. It's just really lovely. And so I wanted to go over and be like, hi, I liked her comic from last year. But I didn't want to just like do that and then not buy anything. And the badges were so cute, so I got one. That's pretty much it. That's everything that I bought. I did also buy Mark his birthday present there, which was some of the tea books from Jade. So we're both going to read them and chat about them, I'm sure. As with last year, I'm hoping to post reviews of these as I read them, give you my thoughts on them, and I just wanted to end on, if you are in any way interested in comics, even if you feel like you have no comic knowledge, I would really, really recommend Thought Bubble to you. Last year was my first year, and I felt very much like, I still felt like it this year, like, you're surrounded by people with such knowledge, and I'm just like, I know nothing about anything to do with this, other than, like, a sheer enthusiasm for it. But at Thought Bubble, that's all you need. All you need is to just have a kindling of a love of comics, or a love of art, or a love of storytelling, or any of these things, and there will be something there for you, because there is such a range of stuff. This is maybe not like the best example of the range because I just bought stuff that appealed to me, but I feel like you could walk in there and find something that you're going to love because there is just such choice. And everyone there is so friendly, so lovely, from the people who are running it to the people who are attending it to the people who are exhibiting there. They're all just really lovely. It's just the best atmosphere. I had the most lovely day, and I'm really excited for next year when I can just do it all again. I'm going to go now and probably go have some Lemsip or something. Have yourself a really nice day, and I will see you next time that I see you.